What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Run Pure Sports MLB Swing for the Fences show. I got Hoop. I got JT. Fresh off the bang bang plays today. We'll go to you, though, first. Hoop, how's it going? How is it on this Friday?
Going well. I'm glad you're with us in the current time and not 15 minutes behind like yesterday. You're with us in the chat and progressively caught up. And I think by the end of the show, you caught up to us. But we had a lot of fun yesterday with that. And we got a full slate today. And, as always, we'll break it all down and lock in some winners for, this Friday night.
Yep. We're going to lock in the winners. And speaking of winners, we got JT Hayes here on this Friday to break it all down for you. JT, you gave us the bang bang plays. I'm happy to have you here. You were in the chat last night having a good time with all the GIFs and the GIFs. How's it going over there, JT, on this Friday?
Yeah, I had a good time recording the Bang Bang plays today. Kind of wrote itself. I got to talk about my favorite dog of a franchise, the New York Mets. That was a lot of fun. So spent a few minutes on them and a terrible couple of weeks as usual for them in midsummer, and talked about the slate. I mean, 14 games, some really interesting spots and pretty interesting. As you know, I play mostly on DraftKings. Interesting to see what DraftKings has done here. Pretty much everyone who was in the All-Star game is, for hitters, 6K and up today, right? So anyone who was in Colorado at the All-Star game, you're going to be paying a premium for. But there's a ton of value in other areas, other positions. So it's an interesting slate. There's not a lot of top-end, at least price-wise, pitching. I think, the highest price pitcher on the board, Corbin Burnes, also gets probably the toughest matchup. So it's going to be a really interesting slate. Excited to break it down with you and the Hoopster. I haven't seen him maybe in a couple of weeks. So excited to see him on a Friday night.
Yeah, and speaking of Hoop, I want to ask you, I'm sure you'll be watching tomorrow the MMA live show, right? We're going to have a live show for the card. You like the MMA slates. Talk about that a little bit, because we got all the MMA content that you need over here at Run Pure Sports. Again, use that code RPS NFL 15, I believe, Hoop, to get 15% off, right?
Yep. RPS NFL 15 gets you 15% off for life, whatever price you pay. So if you want to do the, DFS and bets combo, you're looking at $85. You can lock that in as long as you don't cancel month in, month out. And then for the DFS, it would be like right around like $67, $68. And that's locked in as long as you don't cancel either. In terms of, tomorrow, big UFC card, pay-per-view. So we'll have DC, Joey Work, Title. They'll have their show. I believe it's 11 a.m. Eastern, breaking down the whole card. Title will have his playbook up, which is an in-depth fight-by-fight breakdown into like a ranking system as well at the top of that page. So, as always, I talk about on here, but everything included, one price. We have best ball content now. We're going to have some preseason stuff. We obviously had the Showdown preseason yesterday. We had content for. The other sites are going to hit you up, football right around the corner, preseason NFL starting. They're going to hit you up for more money at Run Pure Sports. You don't have to worry about that. The price you pay is, one price, and it covers everything on the website. So tomorrow, we're going to be featuring the MMA card with Title with his full breakdown. And then DC and Joey Work will join him on the show tomorrow morning.
Yep. It's going to be awesome. Can't wait to watch that MMA show. You can get some betting winners as well, so don't miss out on that. Also, you brought up the NFL Showdown, and Hoop, if I retire right now from NFL 2021, I'm profitable, right? I mean, it was a good start to the Showdown. No complaints there. Preseason's been good, and let me tell you, some of those head-to-heads out there, there are some bad teams. So people playing CD Lamb, there's a good edge in the preseason stuff. Our guys are grinding, giving you all the content, and that's another reason to get in that Discord chat. JT, how about you tell people a little bit why they should get in the Discord chat and check out all the baseball stuff that we got going on in there?
Yeah, I mean, if you're not in there, it's a 24/7 adventure, obviously. We got people that start as early as, I got in there, took a first look just to see what was going on, see what messages I had, probably around 9 o'clock, and saw that people were breaking down the slate as early as 2 a.m. last night. So people go in, and that can be good or bad now, right? And there's a couple of guys who said recently, you know what? I'm going to cut down midday time in Discord because you get too many opinions. You don't get to formulate your own opinions about the slate. But I think going in there, especially the last 2 hours before lock, right? Most of us are in there, especially those of us who are doing content, are in there taking some questions, taking some 1v1s, 2v2s, and then of course you get the core plays up. And for me personally, 705 lock, I gotta beat it. I gotta get out of Discord because the mojo the first couple of innings can be a little bit shaky, but then towards the end of the night when everything comes together, it's real nice.
Yeah, it's always a good time. I was in the Discord actually, JT, early this morning. I was up at 6 a.m. and I'll tell you this: I woke up, I could not go back to sleep, and you know what I did? I sweated some League of Legends for my buddies. Right? I knew some people that were sweating out the League of Legends. I watched that. Hoop, it was like I was in quarantine again, playing some League of Legends. Have you played League of Legends DFS since the quarantine, Hoop?
Not since quarantine. I did play it early on. Somewhat exciting. I mean, I have no clue what the hell those guys are doing out there. It's kind of, weird and creepy. I guess that's the best way I'd put it. But yeah, I'm not getting in the LOL streets ever again.
Yeah, well, hey,
and I had some success too. I had some success playing, and I'm still not getting in there.
Yeah, you never know, Hoop. You never know. Never say never, as they say. But we got baseball to talk about. I'm excited for this baseball card. It's not like an obvious one, I should say, right? It's not one where you're just like, okay, like there's this clear-cut offense. I think there's a bunch of different ones you can go to. There's not this like 7 total. Yes, it is a Coors slate. JT, you did the bang plays today, right? So why don't you give people a little preview of like some of the stuff you talked about and like talk a little bit of a slate overview for us?
Yeah, I think for the pitching perspective, right? And we don't need to tell anybody watching this week, really even the last couple of, I want to say 3 weeks, has been pretty volatile in terms of starting pitching. And this week, I mean, on most of the slates, if you faded the highest price pitcher, the highest owned pitcher, and honestly, the pitcher who was projected to score the most points, you probably did pretty well because it's been bust season at the top range of pricing. And tonight, I talked about him on the bang plays. Corbin Burnes gets a home matchup with the Giants. Giants striking out 29% of the time against right-handed pitching over the last couple of weeks. But they also have the slate leading highest ISO against right-handed pitching in that same time frame. And it was really more of a what's going to happen with this lineup because they've had some guys who were banged up. But this lineup came out, man, and it looks deadly. I mean, this looks like a perhaps the top lineup tonight that we're going to see rolled out here. The Giants have. So you got a decision there to make, which we'll talk about with Corbin Burnes. The guy who gets the best spot tonight, I mean, it's Chris Bassett. This guy, I've talked about him maybe the last couple of slates, just because he's had matchups against the Angels, had a matchup a couple of starts back at home against the Texas Rangers. I mean, when Dylan Bundy shuts you out for 6 innings, I mean, I joked on the bang plays, Adolis Garcia was looking for a raft back to Havana. That's what Dylan Bundy did to these guys yesterday. I think Chris Bassett is just, I'm very close. I'm playing 150 tonight. I want to say I'm going to be upwards in the 80% range, locked in on Chris Bassett. And then in that same game, I teased that people were going to make fun of me. And I'm kind of impressed, but also a little bit disappointed to see that or at least you, sweet Travis, identified that Fulte at 4.9 in a matchup that has been one of the only matchups that he's done well in this year. And a part that he's pitched well in is, I think, a pretty good play on this slate. You got a bunch of other mid-range pitching. And one of the things that I think is important to look at, especially this time of season, especially a season like this, where you have some clear contenders and teams that are just playing out the string, trying to see what guys are going to give them for the future. You want to be careful on some of these younger pitchers. You want to be careful on some of these dead teams like the Texas Rangers. Teams like the Baltimore Orioles, teams that are going absolutely nowhere, are going to show up with these 8 and 9K pitchers, and you're going to say, hey, how long realistically is this guy going to pitch in this game?
Yeah, and before we dive into the baseball, you mentioned the word dead, and you know what I thought about? I thought of all the dead golfers on the course that the Discord chat loves to talk about. This guy's dead, that guy's dead. Hoop, we got to get an update. How is the live final sweat going for you so far, trying to get to the next round, right? There's 3 rounds, so the people want to hear, how is Hoop doing in the Fantasy World Golf Championship? Are your golfers dead?
Decent shape. I'm hovering right around the 100 marker with my squads where, they have to be there to advance to the next round. But I mean, I've been at it in PGA DFS for long enough to know on these no-cut events, nothing really matters until that 4th round. I mean, you can't get overly excited. I mean, I do have some pretty good teams. I obviously played a ton of Harris English. I have a ton of Scotty Scheffler, a lot of Jim Herman, who's up there. But none of it matters until the fourth round in these no-cut events. I know people like to get excited. It's hard not to get excited when your teams are up there, but this tournament's not even 50% over. I mean, all your guys have 50% of their holes left to play, and it's hard to get excited one way or the other. But the teams are in decent shape heading into the weekend, and we'll see where we're at come Sunday evening.
You're sure, Hoop? They're not dead yet. I mean, that's what I'm told. I'm told Harris English has already won the event.
Yeah.
That's just how golf goes, apparently. Harris English has already won, according to Twitter, according to the Discord chat. But we'll see how it all goes. We'll be rooting you on. We'll be rooting Big T on. I know Pensac's got a ticket. K. Falik, I think, has one as well. We got tons of Run Pure tickets there. Jim Herman's up towards the top, so he's actually basically won too, as well, as everyone has said. So it should be a fun sweat to check all of that out. But let's dive in. Let's talk about some of the baseball and hoop. Let me go to you. Let's talk about the top end pitchers. JT has talked about some so far. You got Burns, right? You got Wainwright. You got Bassett. You got Marquez in Coors with, according to Uncle T in the chat, Bill Miller as the umpire. And it's not an amazing pitching slate. It's solid, right? But I think you can play a guy like Marquez in Coors. So what are you doing here at the top with pitchers?
Yeah, I mean, I think the main point that, I have is kind of similar to what JT had in the fact that the pitching has been very volatile as of late these last couple of weeks. And, maybe it's the hot weather. I don't know what it is, but a lot of busts at the top end. And, in a perfect world, I go out today and I play Burns and Bassett, or I play Burns and Marquez, or Bassett, Marquez, like the three that I'm most comfortable in: Burns, Bassett, Marquez. Those are the guys that I think, when it's all said and done, I would say 1, 2, 3 in terms of fantasy points. But the volatility at the position has me leaning towards focusing on my offense a little bit more and coming back and seeing what I have left at pitcher. And that's a strategy I really like to employ a lot, even in cash games. I mean, in tournaments for sure, but even in cash games, you can do that. Yes. Do I think Burns, Bassett are the two safest guys on the board? 100%. Do I think they're must plays? Absolutely not. So, I'm going to leave flexibility at the pitcher position today for those reasons that I just talked about. The position's been super volatile as of late, but my favorite up top, I'll side with Burns. I think he's the best pitcher. Then I love Bassett. It's a really good matchup. This Texas offense, after the trade deadline, they just don't have much left. It's a home matchup, so Bassett's right up there. But I do really like Marquez as well. I've seen some talk about Wainwright as a potential option. He's been pitching fine, but I just definitely prefer Burns and Bassett over him. And there's just not that much of a price break to go down to a guy like Wainwright. I mean, you're talking $300 down from Bassett, $500 from Burns. If I ever land on Wainwright, I'm going to juggle some things around with my offense to make sure I get up to those guys over Wainwright.
Look, let me see if this changes your mind. No Salvador Perez. He got scratched. So this is the Royals lineup. It's kind of ugly.
Yeah.
Whit Merrifield, Lopez, Santana, O'Hearn, Dozier, Rivera, Dyson, Gallagher, and Minor. I mean, It is a bit of a rough lineup. And also the Royals, keep in mind, they are typically an AL team, right? So they typically have the DH. This game's in St. Louis, I believe. So that means they're going to have Mike Minor out there as well hitting. So I don't know. Does that change your opinion at all now with Salvador Perez out of it?
Yeah, I mean, a little bit. Mate, what's the difference on FanDuel? Is it a bigger difference on FanDuel between him and the top guys? I don't know off the top of my head. I'm pulling it up right now. Let's see.
I don't think it's too big of a gap. It's not
9-7. Yeah, no. I mean, it's even worse on FanDuel. So I don't know. Yeah, I mean, the lineup for the Royals is dreadful. Obviously, Salvador Perez out of the lineup, and you look at it, it's not good. They lose the DH. I still think I prefer those other guys, Burns and Bassett over Wainwright. And, if you want to go down a little bit more, like I said, Marquez, it's never comfortable rostering a pitcher in Coors Field, but, Marquez has shown the ability to get it done in this ballpark. And he's had a lot of tough matchups lately. He's got, he played, what do you have? They had the Padres a couple times, and he kind of mowed them down. So I'm going to be, kind of living with those three guys at 8K and above.
All right, JT, I want to go over to you and talk about some of these top end arms. Again, my favorite is Bassett right now. If I had to play one, that's the guy that I would be playing. You talked a little bit about Burns and going up against a tougher lineup. The one thing, though, JT, is this is not the best Giants lineup. You said this is the best Giants lineup they could get. It's Wilmer Flores' birthday, JT. So when you take the birthday boy out of the lineup, it's not as good of a lineup as it could be because, birthday home runs are guaranteed dongs, JT. So does that change your opinion there on Burns now?
No, I mean, if you told me Wilmer Flores on his birthday was going to get up and bat left-handed, then I would say, all right, maybe there's something here I should be interested in. But I do think this lineup is tough. We've seen Burns do very, very well in the easier matchups. We saw him just, I don't know if it was a start or I think it was his last start here in Atlanta. I think it was last Friday, a game I was at, struggle against some of these power offenses, these hitters that are a little bit more difficult to put away. And look, I'll say this on this slate. I'm with you. I think that Chris Bassett is by far my favorite pitcher on this slate. And I don't think if you're playing tournaments, if you're playing cash, okay, fine, Burns, I get it. If you're playing tournaments and want to be completely different, I don't think a full fade of Corbin Burns is off the board here tonight.
All right, guys, hit that like, hit that subscribe on the video. Helps us out a ton. JT, I'll go right back to you, though, because I want to get your take on Wainwright, right? There's no Salvador Perez. That lineup is definitely worse. So any take on that? Does that change your opinion a little bit? And then I know you want to get to it. We'll get to Faulty in a little, but I want to hear on Wainwright because I do think that Salvador Perez helps a ton.
Yeah, first I'll address something by someone who's honestly always never has the right facts in our chat. It's a little bit upsetting that I have to do this every show. Millie Bassett is not the massive chalk. Burns is actually projected as of right now to be higher owned than Bassett by about 10 to 15%. Here's the thing with Wainwright. It's not a sexy play, right? The name, he just keeps getting it done. You're right. There's a couple of things in his favor. He's got a bad lineup in the Kansas City Royals. I would caution, it's the exact same lineup minus Salvador Perez that smashed Lucas Giolito 2 nights ago. So they do have some power in this lineup, but you're right. They're going into a National League park where they lose the designated hitter. In addition to that, they're going into one of the friendliest National League parks for pitchers. Talked about the humidor in this park. I got made fun of a couple of nights ago. The Braves started out hot. They scored 6 runs. They didn't score another run the rest of the night. The last 4 runs they scored last night were the benefit of 5-6 walks in a row, including 4 with the bases loaded. So I don't see a lot of offense coming from Kansas City. The question is, all right, so you're paying 9.5. And I think there's a point where, yeah, maybe you can consider him as a pivot off of Burns. There's no question the matchup is better. I think on paper, you look at the 2 pitchers, you'd say I'd much rather play Burns. But then you look at the matchup, and I think you could say, yeah, maybe I can go over to Wainwright. And I think it's really just those 3 up top, because everyone else, you're gonna get a little bit of a discount. I guess you have Kyle Muller for just a couple of $100 cheaper. He does get a fairly easy matchup against the Washington Nationals, although they've actually been fighting. They've been playing hard. They've been hitting the ball. They got to Aaron Nola yesterday, but now they travel down to Atlanta. It looks like Juan Soto, I'm not sure if he's in the lineup. He was questionable. But the thing with Kyle Muller at that price point is the length. And Snicker is not going to let these guys go very deep into games. He's now got a fairly deep bullpen that's been pitching better. So I think in that range, certainly you can consider Wainwright as a pivot off of Burns.
All right, Hoop, I'll go over to you. You talked about going maybe cheaper a pitcher. There are some mid-tier guys to discuss. Let's talk about both the Kyles, right? Kyle Gibson is projecting decently at 7.4K, but I don't love the spot. And then Kyle Muller on FanDuel, right? He's 7.7K over there, but I kind of worry about what JT just said. I worry about the quality start on FanDuel. Will he be able to go that long? That is one of my fears. So talk about those 2 options and then talk about the cheap guys. Because again, it sounds like this is a spot, and Big T's talked about it, I think, recently. You've talked about it. It seems like not a bad spot to maybe just punt and go way, way cheaper with one of your pitchers or maybe even both.
Yeah, I mean, I'm always down to do that if there's a guy I think is viable. Tonight, I'm struggling to find the guy that I think is the viable super cheap option. I know a lot of people might look to David Price at 5.8K. I don't think I'm going to go there tonight. I mean, others may, but I don't think David Price is going to be an option for me. One guy down here, not super cheap, that I have a decent amount of interest in would be, Logan Webb at 7.2K. I think the price is fair. He's been pitching pretty well. He's a, safer option. He really hasn't gotten blown up this season, which, is not saying a ton, but at 7.2K, he doesn't have to go out there and throw a gem. Kyle Gibson, Mike Minor's another option. I mean, this is a slate where I'm probably looking at, I don't know, I'd say 6 to 7 pitchers. I mean, those guys up top that we talked about, Marquez, Webb, maybe some Kyle Gibson, maybe some Mike Minor. That's probably going to be it for me on this slate. And I feel pretty good about that. I mean, the problem you see is, once you start going through offenses, there's just so many offenses that are just in similar spots tonight. It's hard not to kind of mix it up and get a little bit of exposure to a good chunk of offenses tonight. So for me, like I said, it's going to probably be 6 or 7 guys. I'm just not seeing that super cheap option. Matt Manning is a guy that survived. I mean, he had, the one good start against Texas. He's been right around 10 fantasy points in his other 3 outings. Maybe look him up at 5.3K. I don't feel super comfortable with it. Fulte, 4.9K. I don't feel super comfortable going to him. Those other guys, though, I feel okay with, like I said, those 6 to 7 guys that I talked about.
All right, guys, hit that like, hit that subscribe on the video. Helps us out a ton. We got Joey Work telling you hit the like and subscribe. I'm also going to return the favor. Hit the like and subscribe on his show at 11 tomorrow. Just get it done right when you walk into the show, okay? So don't forget to do that. I do want to talk about some cheap pitcher options, though, because JT, you have an interesting cheap pitcher option. No, it's not Matt Manning, which I don't think Matt Manning's the worst idea if you're looking for some leverage, because it seems like the Indians might get kind of chalky, and they are the Indians, but that's on FanDuel specifically. Talk about the other cheap option that you like, JT, and maybe talk about Matt Manning a little bit, because I think he's not the worst option if you want to go all the way down to the bottom.
I definitely have a different opinion of Manning. I don't think that Manning is a major league ready pitcher. Hoop talked about his one good game being against Texas. We've been talking about Texas. Texas has been out of the AL West pennant race since opening day, and now they've just completely given up with the trading Gallo, a couple of their other moves. Some numbers for Matt Manning. He's probably the 2nd or 3rd worst pitcher on the slate by the numbers, behind a guy like Marco Gonzalez, who I expect to get shredded in Yankee Stadium tonight. Expected ERA 4.98, xFIP 5.54, a little over a home run per 9. And here's the big thing for me, because of that Cleveland lineup, which tonight in particular is pretty heavily right-handed. A 250 ISO is what he's allowing to right-handed batters, and a 425 weighted on base average. They did get to the Blue Jay bullpen after Steven Matz went out of the game the other night. Yeah, they got shut down yesterday pretty good by Stripling, a much better right-handed pitcher than Matt Manning. And I talked about Fulte earlier today. Here's what I'm saying with Fultonavich. So the numbers on him against Oakland this season: 19 1/3 innings pitched, 17 strikeouts, 7 earned runs. If you get, and Fulte's a veteran where if he goes 5 or he gets through 5 with 2 earned runs, maybe 3, he might get a 6th inning, because this is a guy who's going to be looking for another contract. He's not one of these rookies that they're going to try and protect. You're looking for 15 points out of this guy at 4.9. I have played him in the 5 range. This is the cheapest I've ever seen him. And I think if you're looking for someone who can get you there, again, pitching has been very volatile. I'm not saying lock him in. Of course, I'm not saying that, but I'm saying if I'm playing 150, I'm going to set his exposure higher than I normally otherwise would tonight, just because of the success he's had in this matchup. It's going to be cool-ish in Oakland, 65 to 70 degrees. Home run is not a hitter's paradise. He's pitched well here. He's pitched well in this matchup. Now, there are concerns, obviously. I don't expect Texas to win this game. I don't expect him to be in line for the win bonus. This is just a pure punt at pitcher, looking for 15 to 18 points, as Hoop said, to prioritize my offense, right? I want to play some Yankees bats. I have some interest in some Dodgers bats. There's some other offenses that we'll talk about here that are a little bit more expensive. If you want to play the Reds, you need to find someone other than Burns and Bassett, right? Because, like I said, all these guys who are the best hitters at each position are in the 6K range now.
All right. I do want to ask Coop now, did JT sell you on Mike Foltynewicz? Any interest in him? And then I want to get your final rankings on the pitchers, Hoop.
Yeah, I mean, he definitely did. I mean, I'm always open to input on cheap guys because I'm willing to go there in tournaments and definitely in cash games too. I guess the most important part about these cheap pitchers today, these offensive guys are freaking expensive. You start looking around. I know Toronto's not in the greatest of spots, but if you want to play Toronto, Springer's 5'7", Vlad's 6'5", Semion's 5K, Bo Bichette is 5'8". Teoscar is 5'1". If you want to play the Yankees, all their key guys are over 5K besides Stanton. If you want to play the Reds, all their key guys besides Castellanos way up there. You just start looking around. You want to play the Braves tonight. Albies is 5'4", Freeman's 5'8", Austin Riley's 5'1". I mean, he's been a value play for a long time. Even Swanson is 4'7". Bats are expensive tonight. You're paying a premium for the bats. And if you want to play some of these offenses, you have to be willing to go cheap at pitcher. I think the case, was pretty strong that JT made for Foltynewicz. So I will certainly be looking at him as a salary saver today.
All right, JT, our boy, Mr. K. Falik, Kevin Fallick, he's in the chat and he has a question, and I'm going to give it to you, right? Because you love answering his questions and helping him out. And he said, I would appreciate it if you would all discuss briefly David Price. With Hoop talked a little bit about Price. Angels coming back to the West Coast, playing in an NL park, so good chance they don't see Shohei Ohtani tonight. JT, can you elaborate more on what K. Falik is getting at here?
Yeah, I looked at David Price, and, again, if you look at Folty's last 3 games, you would say, I'm never going to play this guy. And that's when you want to play these guys, when their price goes down because of crappy performance and, they're in a good spot. What's more interesting about K. Fallick's question is like last week where nobody ever plays the Rockies on the road. He wanted to stack against David Price with the Rockies. To his credit, it kind of worked out because they hit a couple of homers against him and got to the bullpen. I don't know if on this 14-game slate, the key here is, right, value is at a premium. Hoop just talked about it again with all of these 6K guys. And for me personally, if I'm looking at this slate, right, I'm not going to try and 5-stack a team where, 5 of their best hitters are over 6K, right? You're asking to lose a tournament that way. Because you got to 5-stack one of the mid-range teams. That's why I was pretty, had significant interest in the Indians. Their lineup came out and it's not so great. I understand Franmil Reyes is not in it. Excuse me. I'll take another look at David Price, but man, between how bad he's been and what Dave Roberts, and which, by the way, I heard he's now going by the nickname Doc, which makes me hate him even more. What Dave Roberts is doing, I just don't know if I can get there. I probably would rather try and get up to a Mike Minor than take a risk. I mean, the Cardinals have been pretty awful against left-handed pitching. So for me, I don't think I'll get there. I think you have to consider him based on the way the slate shakes out in terms of pricing, but probably not gonna be in my pitching pool.
We've probably talked way too much about these shitty pitchers, but when Big T enters the chat and says David Price over Folty, Hoop, you got to address that. So what do we think of Big T? Is he on something with Mr. K. Falik, who's been making life a little more difficult on himself lately? But when you're that rich, sometimes you like a little challenge. So what do you think of what Big T is saying over there, Hoop?
What Big T is on is the edibles. Big T has not fully sat down and analyzed the pitching slate if he's that excited about freaking David Price. So, yeah, I mean, David Price is showing up in some projections. Like if you go look around at some of the projections, he's kind of popping a little bit at 5.8K. I think I'm on Folty over him, and those 7K guys, I'd find the money to get up to them. I'm not going to be on David Price tonight.
I can't wait till Big T gets on the Up the Lock show and out of nowhere is playing Folty and David Price, because that would not shock me at all. We will have to see. It's been fun breaking down these pitchers, though. JT, give me your final pitcher rankings, and then we'll move on and talk about the hitters.
Yeah, it's going to be a very heavy mix, leading off with Bassett And then, guys like Minor. I don't mind Marquez. I usually, honestly, I don't often pick on this Marlins team. We saw what they did to the Mets starters. Mets starters are kind of crappy. Marquez is in that upper tier range of pitchers, and he's priced down for this start, actually. 8.4, which is cheaper than he's been. Don't mind that. I'm probably going to stay away from Sandy Alcantara in this matchup, first game at altitude for the Marlins. And I might have some burns. I might do a full fade. It just depends on how the data points shake out after the show. Obviously, I'll have a slate strategy up here in a little bit. And then, going cheaper, I like a little bit of Mike Minor, perhaps some Logan Webb. And then, I will have some Fulton Avich tonight. And it would take a lot to convince me to play David Price.
All right. Before we go game by game, I want to go on and I want to talk about the best ball stuff that we got over here at Run Pure Sports. We got articles, we got videos, we got all the NFL content that you need. Use that code RPS NFL 15 to get 15% off your lifetime payment as long as you stick with that. So it's an awesome deal that we have over here. So don't miss out. Also want to mention the best ball rankings that we have, right? We got Simon's rankings, Snyder's rankings, and then we got Bobby Gomes. So we have 3 guys rankings up so far. I'm sure more will be coming. They just got put on the site. If you can't find them, head on over to the Discord chat, right? Get in there and it's there posted. So be sure to get that. What were you going to say?
Oh, I'm going to say, K-Falix and are all excited because now Big T came in and said he's on David Price as well. I'd be willing to put some dollars on the fact by the time this is all said and done, we got 2 hours before lock. K-Falix will be stacking against David Price because Big T is on David Price. Like, that is a lock to happen.
Yeah, there's a good chance it happens. And, K-Falik, if you would like, you can have David Price. I'll take Fulte if you want. I'll do a little wager on that. So if you would like that bet, slide into the DMs, K-Falik. He might be waiting for Ohtani to be in the lineup, though. So I might have to wait 3 hours to get this bet in. But I'm perfectly fine with it. If you want it, K-Falik, slide right in. I like Fulte over a guy like David Price today. But we got to move on. We got to talk about these hitters now, right? Because we got some good hitters on this slate. And let's kick it off first with the Yankees and the Mariners. And Hoop, it's a massive total for the Yankees. This lineup is really strong right now. Yes, they're missing Gary Sanchez, but it's still loaded at the top. You got LeMahieu, Rizzo, Judge, Stanton, Gallo, Torres. I mean, it's loaded. What are you doing here with these Yankees? Are you jamming them in as your top offense on this slate?
And I talked about it, after the trade deadline, after the moves, to pick up Rizzo, to pick up Gallo. Like, any night I'm playing a substantial amount of lineups. The Yankees are facing a not elite pitcher, which I only think there's maybe like 15 elite pitchers in baseball. If they're facing anything outside of those top 15 pitchers, they're in my player pool. And their offense is just too good from top to bottom. They were slow last night, but then, we saw the big bomb from Joey Gallo. You needed Joey Gallo last night to win. I see no reason to not play these Yankees bats almost every night, regardless matchup, assuming, like I said, they're not playing one of these top end pitchers. So yes, I'm going to be on the Yankees tonight. There's a lot of different ways you can go. The guys at the bottom, I think you can kind of play a little bit too. Torres, LeMahieu outside of the 4 big guys. So yes, I'm on the Yankees, not really going to play the Mariners. So.
All right, JT, you alluded to liking the Yankees. You said Marco Gonzalez was going to get shelled. I've looked in a little to Marco Gonzalez, and man, he's always pitching in Seattle, right? That's where he's had a lot of luck in the humidor, and this is not the same spot. And these Yankees are going to blow him up, in my opinion. I think this is going to end really, really poorly. I like the Yankees here in this spot. How about you?
Yeah, I think there's, I just think they're going to shell him, like you said. I think that the Yankee right-handed batters up and down this order are in good spots. I don't think there's any chance that Kyle Higashioka doesn't hit at least 1 home run tonight, and he might hit more than 1 tonight. I think this is such a great matchup here. So Yankees, talked about him earlier today, top team on the board for me. They're probably going to be popular, but probably not as popular as you would think on a 14-game slate, because people will talk themselves into some disastrous plays as you get closer to locks. They'll think they see line movement or a shiny object, and meanwhile, you've got a guy who's got the worst expected ERA on the slate. He gives up more than 2 home runs per 9 innings on the season, and I just don't think it's going to go very well for little Marco Gonzalez tonight in Yankee Stadium.
Yep, I don't think it's going to go well either. And there's a lot of guys in the bottom of the order. Like you mentioned, Kyle H. I think he's in play. Torres has been hitting a little bit better. Even Odor. I don't mind Odor in this spot. And there's a ton of different outfielders, so you can mix and match them. The only thing is, if you obviously miss out on that big one, it can be brutal. But I do think the Yankees are one of the better stacks on this slate, and I'll definitely be getting some exposure to them. Any final thoughts here? Like Seattle, do you have any interest in them with Peralta on the mound?
I mean, obviously it's a good ballpark for him, but man, there's just so many, good offenses that I'm interested in tonight. Yeah, I mean, they're going to be virtually unowned, but I won't be going there. I mean, you can get offenses in much better spots with probably just as low ownership. So no Mariners for me.
Yeah, I think if you do play him, it makes more sense as like a two-man stack. Maybe like you do a Haniger and like a Cal Raleigh. I'm saying it wrong. Cal Raleigh. What about like Ty France, right? That's another guy. You could do a little mini stack with it. I wouldn't hate it, but not my favorite. Let's go on to the next game though. Hoop, I'll go right back to you. We got the Rays and we got the Baltimore Orioles, right? And John Means he's pitched well at times and he's pitched really poor. It's been a hot and cold season for him. The Rays, though, their lineup is a little different, right? I think Randy Arozarena has COVID, so he's out. You got Jordan Luplow at the top. Nelson Cruz against the lefty always goes well. And, what are you doing with the Rays here? Because I think it's a good spot for them, and you get the 9 innings out of them as well, which is not a bad thing.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I'm mostly interested in their top 3 guys, and I don't think they'll be overly popular, so it really doesn't matter. Like, you don't have to get cute with this offense and, try to – play some of these off the wall guys. To me, it's like Luplow is a guy I always have interest in against lefties. Nelson Cruz, the same thing. And then Wander Franco. Diaz, I don't know, not a ton of upside out of him. So like I said, I'm going to be focused on these top 3 guys. I don't think any of them are going to be popular, so that's fine. Like, when we talk about getting unique with stacking, it's more so in offenses that are going to have high ownership. Kind of goes out the window, especially, on a 14-game slate like we have tonight. No offense is going to be mega chalk tonight because there's like 10 offenses that look similar, in terms of like their team total and whatnot. And I think you talked about in the opening, there's not like one team that has like a 6.5 or a 7 individual team total. So that really means that things are going to be spread out quite a bit. So yeah, I like the top 3 here: Luplow, Cruz, and Franco. Not going to be playing the Orioles.
Yeah, JT, I'll go over to you because we got Nelson Cruz in a revenge spot, right? Revenge against the Orioles, JT. I know you love some revenge, and it's against a lefty. I mean, everything is lining up for good old Nelson Cruz. What are you doing here with him against the Rays?
I think from the standpoint of looking at this game, I think there's maybe a 2-man opportunity here on both sides. Definitely not a full stack opportunity for the Orioles, given what's on the back end of that Tampa Bay bullpen. I think Mountcastle is a little bit too cheap. Mountcastle at 3.4. He's done really well. Yarbrough has had his ups and downs all season long, and in particular against his Baltimore team that hits left-handed pitching much, much better than right-handed pitching. But again, I'm not going to be full stacking in this spot. Maybe him and Michael Franco seems a little bit too cheap at 2.7 on DraftKings down at the bottom of that lineup. The only thing with the Rays here, now that you have a Arozarena out of that lineup and replaced ostensibly by Luplow, is that as soon as the bullpen comes in, there's a pretty good opportunity that Luplow is going to be out of the game, right? So I think that's something to keep an eye on and be wary of. Hoop mentioned Wander Franco, like him a lot tonight. And then if you're not playing my guy Higgy or Cal Raleigh as a total punt catcher, then I think Zunino against the lefty is always got a chance to pop one out. He's not exactly cheap, but at 4-1, I think he's okay. And I'm seeing now that Ramon Laureano has been suspended for 80 games for PEDs. That sucks. I like his game. But guess who won't be in the lineup against Fulte tonight? Ramon Laureano.
Which you love to see. So K. Felix, slide right in. I'm waiting for him. We need Ohtani to be out of the lineup. So, but hey, that's good for Fulte. Definitely excited about that. Hoop, does that just gain your interest more in Fulte with they're basically cleanup hitter going to be out tonight?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely, for that price tag, and he's had success against the team. I mean, I got the full sale going on. I mean, I'm in. I mean, there's no the hard sell has worked. I'm in on Fulte.
JT, I'll ask you a question, and I think it's probably overthinking too much, but people might wonder, right? Ramon Laureano is a great fielder, right? Does that somehow hurt Bassett for you? I mean, sometimes I've heard you talk about like, man, this Mets fielding is so bad that it's like just ruined a game for them, right? Does that at all change anything for you with Bassett?
No, I don't think so. I mean, if we're talking about a team that I thought was going to put the ball in play and hit the ball hard, all over the place, then I think, yeah, that would be a consideration. The Rangers, part of the appeal of the Rangers is the 10 strikeout upside that a pitcher like Bassett, who's a 25% strikeout rate on the season, that's kind of, it's that and the fact that he'll throw a bunch of innings because the A's are grinding towards trying to get the American League West championship. So I think the fact that he'll throw a lot of innings, so he'll go deep into the game, and he has strikeout upside is a lot more important than any one particular fielder.
All right, let's move on to the next game. You talk about strikeout upside. You know who doesn't? Marcus Stroman and these Mets. They're going against the Phillies. And Hoop, you love to talk about the Phillies, so let's go over to you. I kind of had interest in the Phillies today because I was like, well, the Mets bullpen's bad. It's in Philadelphia. Stroman hasn't been so great, but he is a kind of a ground ball guy. Can we get excited about the Phillies today? Because I think they're a contrarian stack that people won't be on that has a ton of upside and can get the job done, Hoop.
Yeah, I mean, the Phillies are kind of turned into a team where I'm on them most nights again, where they're not playing like one of the top pitchers. I mean, I just like what they do. They're aggressive on the base pass. You can pick up some steals and stuff along the way. So you just have more outs with this team. I like the way their lineups form tonight with, Segura, Harper, Real Muto, Didi. I always like playing Didi at shortstop. So, yeah, I mean, I'm not going like full MME tonight, but if I was, I'd have a little bit of the Phillies. I do have to address a comment in the chat, though, because we were joking yesterday about, playing the videos at 1.5 speed. And we were talking about how, listening to Mangone would be very difficult. And our boy Brian Ammerheim says, watched a few minutes on 1.5 speed to get caught up. Mangone sounds like an auctioneer on speed. So Big T said he'd listen to everybody on 1.5, and then he'd put Mangone on like 0.5, so it'd slow it down.
That would be difficult to do, but if you could, it would definitely make the shows make it more sense, right? I try to slow it down sometimes, but man, I think I've talked faster in the past. I think I've gotten.
I'm with you though. I'm kind of like a fast talker though too, so I think we might be in the same boat.
Yeah, for sure. By the way, we got K Falik does not like this bet. He's in the DM saying you really want to bet on the two shittiest pitchers on the slate. Who doesn't love a 10 p.m. sweat, KP? I mean, who doesn't love sweat?
Wait, but he wanted to talk about David Price. See,
he's backing up.
You never know when K. Falik wants you to talk about something because he wants to hear your position so he could make fun of you and tell you how stupid you are, or because he's genuinely interested in what you think.
He's going to be stacking the Angels when it's all said and done. Mark my word.
JT, I'm the guy in Discord chat. I'm the guy that wants the 10 p.m. Coors, right? I want the sweat against K. Falik. I want it to be 11:30, and we're sweating out the 4th and 5th inning. Every single point matters, and we're having a good time. Matt and K. Falik. David Price sucks. David Fletcher just hit a bomb off him. I just want that sweat. So we'll have to see. We need Ohtani to be out of the lineup, though.
No, it's a good scene at 10 o'clock at night in the kitchen that you're in because you've already moved all the furniture up against the door to make sure that the New Jersey State Police can't break it down before you can exit out the hatch in the basement. And so, yeah, it's a good time there.
It's a good time. That's the 10 p.m. is the perfect time to have a nice ice cream cone too. Have some candy. It's a good time, JT. I'm excited to sweat these games out tonight. Should be a lot of fun. Let's move on though. Let's actually, you got to talk about the Phillies, JT. Any interest in the Phillies and any interest in the Mets against Draft Cheats boy, Mr. Kyle Gibson?
Not a ton of interest in the Mets, to be honest. Although maybe I should have more because both of these bullpens are and have been for at least Philly for more than the last month, really, really bad. You saw the game yesterday after Philly scored to get ahead in that game. They gave it right back, let Washington right back into that game, and they did it all series long in Washington. So I think if I'm looking at the Mets, it's probably just looking at two guys from that team. But I do have interest in the Phillies. I think this Mets bullpen has been terrible. They, came off the rails again all series long in Miami, where they lost 3 of 4. Probably not one of my primary stacks, but yeah, in my multi-entry pool, I will definitely have some Philly stacks and some Philly two-mans in particular. I think Hoop brought up a good point where they're starting to play better now. They're starting to take the extra base. They're starting to look for opportunities to get steals. And I think if I saw it correctly, it's Thomas Nido and not McCann behind the plate tonight. And if that's the case, then I think it's definitely an opportunity for the Phillies to run around the base paths.
All right, we got 475 watching. We have 163 likes. Our boy Stephen Coy spreading the good mojo saying, let's get to 200. JT, I don't want to go to Hoop yet because Hoop can get violent with the chat, and we don't want that yet. We'll do that in a little bit if we have to, but convince these people to get those likes up, JT.
Yeah, I think we need to see 200 before we get to the West Coast games. So certainly before we get to the games that start at 10 o'clock, there's a bunch of them. And if we're not at 200, we may just stop the stream. Honestly, I may just turn the video off and go do something else. So you got 30 in that span. We just got 5 more. So you got 32 to go. I mean, come on. It's just there's 483 watching. What are you doing? I mean, you're spending time watching us, obviously being entertained, educated, maybe even turned on a little bit. Who knows? Get to 200 before those late games breakdowns start.
All right, let's move on. Let's go talk about the Red Sox. Let's talk about the Jays. We got Eovaldi against Manoah, 2 really good offenses, but Hoop, I don't think we're really getting there today, but there are going to be lower-owned offenses, and they have enough power and pop where they can get the job done, I think.
Yeah, I mean, these teams, I mean, any slate, they can go out and be the team that you need to win a GPP. But for me tonight, I'm just not going here. I mean, the problem I have on the Toronto side is, I mean, it is, when I build GPP teams, I stack. So if I'm going to play Toronto, I'm going to have 5 Toronto bats in my lineup. I don't know how I can do it. I mean, 5-7, 6-5, 5K, 5-8, 5-1 for their premier players. That's very difficult. Yes, the pricing is, I mean, it is tough tonight. There's a lot of guys that have big boy price tags. I don't think I can go here. And, Eovaldi's not a guy I'm scared to pick on, but, he's been okay. So it's a less than, full green go matchup. So I'll be off that. And then, yeah, I mean, Boston, I see no reason to really play them tonight. Manoah has shown some real upside and, small team total for the Red Sox right around 4, which is, really, really low for them. Yeah, I'll be fading this game.
All right. We'll move on over to you, JT. And they got over to the 200. King David Montgomery, he says 300 sounds good for all the free info. That does sound good. Let's see if they can get that done. We'll see. Maybe we won't make that the number, but we'll give it a little bit more time. JT, Red Sox. Let's go Toronto. Any interest in these big bats today?
So I think if I'm looking at Toronto, I'm going to be, minimizing my exposure to them just because of the price tags, right? I think Vlad is 6'5". You need 2 home runs from Vlad at least for that to pay off. Whereas you have guys, I talked about Mountcastle being cheap. Ty France in an okay matchup is 3.8. Even Freddie Freeman, and we're going to talk about how good a matchup it is coming up here, is $700 cheaper. I do have some interest in the Red Sox. You can't forget, this is a pivotal series for these 2 teams, talking about them being in really what's going to be a 4-team race here in the American League East. And I think that with Manoah being a rookie, that price point is just too high for me in this matchup. And the Toronto Blue Jay pen, they tried to solidify it at the deadline. They did bring in a couple of good arms, but the pen hasn't been very good lately. We saw the Cleveland Indians get to that pen a couple of nights ago after Steven Matz left the game. And I don't mind some of these Red Sox guys. My favorite guy, of course, Rafael Devers. He's expensive, 5'7", but at a position, I went position by position. It's tough today. I mean, it's really tough to identify 4 or 5 guys at each position that you think are the best plays based on price. And I think Devers is up there for me tonight. So probably not a full stack, but they'll definitely be in my 2-3 man stack pool.
If you got the money, I mean, I don't love third base today. There's one guy that I'll talk about later that I really like, but yeah, I think that this is a tough position. So if you have the money to spend up, I don't hate it. Hoop, we'll go to you. Let's talk about the Reds, right? The Reds are a great stack. They got the job done for me. They've been getting the job done. I mean, Moustakas, he's expensive on DK, but FanDuel is 2.5, right? So talk about the difference between prices on DK. They're super expensive. FanDuel, they got some tough price tags, but they also got some cheap ones where I think you can make it work.
Yeah, easier team to stack on FanDuel opposed to DK, but I want exposure on both. And you can definitely make it work on DK too, because they do have cheaper guys. Like you can play, Naquin at 3.1K. He has some upside. I mean, Castellanos is still 4K on DraftKings. That's a very, very good price tag. He's one of the better overall values. The two guys your three guys you're paying big premium for, obviously Winker, Votto, Moustakas. You have India, who's 4.9K, basically 5K. It is a hard offense to stack, but there's some cheaper guys you can play at the bottom. Even Barnhart at 3.2. Farmer, I don't mind at 3.9K. He's been swinging a pretty hot bat. So yeah, I'm gonna have a lot of Reds. They're one of my favorite offenses. But yeah, no Pirates for me.
All right, JT, Reds are one of my favorite offenses, but more so on FanDuel, right? DK, it's a little bit tougher. Break it down for me. How are you handling the Reds?
Yeah, I think, again, I mean, you talk about Moustakas coming back at, I think, a 6.2K price tag on DraftKings. Probably going to be a pass on him at least, but I think you have to have interest in this team. There's some home run upside, obviously, on the Reds. And then once you get past Brubaker, whenever he leaves the game, and remember, Pirates, they're not going anywhere. So it's not like they're going to run him out there probably to even 100 pitches. I would say somewhere between 90 and 100 pitches is the max you're going to see out of Brubaker, even if he's doing really well, unless he's throwing a perfect game, which we don't expect. That bullpen is just not good. I mean, they've traded away the pieces that were decent. Rodriguez over to the Braves. So I think you have to have interest here in the Reds bats. And actually a pitcher that we didn't mention that I think is certainly on the table in MME tonight is Wade Miley at 8.2. Normally don't like to take pitchers against this Pirates team, but they really, really have a tough time against left-handed pitching in particular. So don't mind a little sprinkle of Wade Miley in MMA as well.
All right, let's move on to the Indians and the Tigers. JT, I'll go right back to you because Matt Manning, you said he sucks, right? And Cleveland has some cheap bats that you can go to. So is Cleveland an offense that you're targeting today? Because it feels like some people are going to be on Cleveland, but I don't know if they really are. I mean, it's the Cleveland Indians. I don't think this offense is any good. So what are you doing here with Cleveland?
Yeah, I had a lot more interest before the lineup came out. It looks like, and I'm pulling it up right now, it looks like Franmil Reyes did not make this lineup for some reason. And he's not in this lineup. It's really confusing to me what they're doing as an organization because they're in a position where they have a chance to at least contend for the wild card, if not the division. And they sold off a little bit with sending Cesar Hernandez to a division competitor, which made no sense. But nonetheless, I do have interest in these right-handed bats and Jose Ramirez, and even a little bit in Bobby Bradley, 3.5. Once you get past Manning, which he's not going to be in the game long, even if he pitches well, because all these guys are being managed in terms of innings for Detroit anyway. You've got a bullpen that's been a little better of late, but isn't very, very good. So Straw, Rosario, Jose Ramirez, Bradley, and even Howard Ramirez has some pop in that bat. He's pretty cheap at 2.8. So even if you wanted to run a two-man of Jose and Harold, the Ramirez brothers, if you will, I don't mind that at all. So I do like Cleveland a bit. It can't be overstated how bad the numbers are on Matt Manning this season.
All right, Hoop, I'll go over to you. You don't like the Tigers. You're like a Tigers fan that has given up on them, unlike G Rising, who just literally pounds the Tigers every day. But you used to play the Indians a lot. Like back in the day when they were good at baseball, you used to play some Indians. So are you going to relive the glory days and play some Indians today?
Yeah, I mean, I still play the Indians when I can. They have a sweet spot in my heart. The problem I have tonight is I do like the matchup. The lineup I don't like all that much. So I want to have some Jose Ramirez. I want to have some Bobby Bradley. I like him. It's probably just going to be like a mini stack type situation for me with the Indians. I don't think I'm going to like full stack them. If I do like a 5-3 stack, they would be the 3, not the 5. The matchup's good against Manning, not a big strikeout guy. So, Ramirez, Bradley would be the core. And then I'd, just toss in one of these other guys and hope they do something, to be honest with you.
Yeah, maybe even like a Miles Straw right at the top. There's obviously some good options here. I don't hate it.
Straw's cheap, so I don't hate that at 2.6K. I mean,
I'll ask you this though, because you're someone who plays a lot of chalk, right? And like sometimes ownership's wrong. Like I see the Indians getting ownership. Are people really going to play them? Like I feel like they're not going to get as owned as the industry is saying right now.
No, there's too many offenses. I mean, there's like 10 offenses that have a team total, right around 5 or 5.5. There's no way the Indians are like have any substantial sort of ownership today. There's no way.
Yeah, like seriously, like if you're a big Indians guy tonight, right? Like if you like them, like just post in the chat. Like say like I'm on the Indians tonight. I'm just curious because I don't think they get the ownership that a lot of the projections around the industry are saying. I just don't buy it completely. So if you do like the Indians, you can certainly get on them. But that's about it for that. Let's go on over to JT's Atlanta Braves, and let's talk about the Braves here against Fetty and that terrible Washington bullpen, a team that's given up. JT, what are you doing here with the Braves in this spot?
I'm playing them. Definitely playing some Braves, especially the left-handed Braves against Fetty. That's where he has had trouble historically, is against left-handed pitching. He's been a little bit better this year, but he's never been good in matchups against the Braves. Braves coming off of a sweep against the Cardinals. They get a park upgrade coming home. It seems here in Atlanta, just as anywhere else in the U.S., it seems, this week it's not particularly hot. So it's not a night where I expect, the Braves to run wild again and score, double-digit runs. But I do think there's definitely some home run upside here with Freeman, with Jock Peterson leading off, with Ozzie Albies. And then once you get into that Washington bullpen, I mean, they just came off a series against Philly where when they got the lead, they would give it right back. So I do think the Braves win this game pretty easily. It looks like Juan Soto is out of the lineup too for the Nationals, which I'll tell you, this kid Kyle Muller, I haven't played him a lot because he's one of these rookies that had a really, really good first game and then followed up with a pretty good second performance. And DraftKings immediately pushed his price tag into the 9Ks. And so every time I look at him, I'm like, he's too expensive. He's getting around 19 points a game. He now takes on a Nationals team without Juan Soto, and he's shown massive strikeout upside. I may have to add him to my pitcher pool tonight just based on how poor this Nationals lineup is.
Yeah, Hoop, any interest in the Braves here in this spot? Decent total and going against those terrible Nationals.
Yeah, I like the Braves here. It's a good spot. I mean, Fetty, if that's how you pronounce his name, not a great pitcher. I mean, I think Freeman's obviously phenomenal play. Soler still has a pretty good price tag on DK at 3.8K, which makes it a little easier to just go ahead and stack these guys. Jock Peterson, but batting 7th. No one's going to be on him batting 7th. Outfield's obviously loaded. I think that's a way to get a little bit different. Even catcher position, you got Vogt down there, 3.2K. So I really like the Braves top to bottom here. They're up there with the Reds is one of my preferred offenses to target. And man, that is a real bad Nationals lineup when you look at it. So definitely agree with that boost to Muller.
Yeah, definitely a nice little boost to Muller. Someone I'm considering for sure a ton, especially on FanDuel at 7.7K price tag. It is a nice little discount compared to a site like DraftKings. Let's move on though. Let's talk about the next game. We got the Astros and the Twins. And I don't know. I mean, the Astros have a decent total. The lineup's a little better. You can make it a case like cash games, right? Like Hoop, I'll go back to you. Michael Brantley, he's too cheap at 3.0, right? I mean, that's just a dumb price tag on him. I'm not itching to play these Astros, but I think they are in play on this slate.
Yeah, I think this is the one spot where we might see pretty substantial ownership. I could be wrong, but I think a lot of it has to do with the price tags. I mean, this is the one team that you could make the case is underpriced on this slate. I mean, all these other offenses that we talked about, you're paying premium price tags. You come here, you're not paying that same premium. You got Alvarez at 4.5K, Brantley at 3K, Carlos Correa at 4.1K. Kyle Tucker gets the better lineup spot here, batting 5th, 3.7K. Diaz, 2.6K. This offense, unlike the other elite offenses on the slate, is underpriced. So I think their ownership's up. I don't know. They just haven't been getting it done for me as of late. I'll probably be looking to fade these guys in tournaments because, like I said, I do think this is the one spot where people do end up flocking to because of these price tags. So I'll probably be off them. Then no interest in the Twins offense for me.
All right, JT, we know one guy who won't be flocking to these price tags over at our site, Run Pure Sports. Again, use that code RPS NFL 15 to get 15% off. That's our boy Draft Cheat because he loves himself some Bailey Ober. What are you doing with the Astros, though? Are the prices too cheap? Are they guys just to jam into your lineups against this bad Minnesota bullpen?
Yeah, I mean, this is a great spot for the Astros. It's not a great park, so there is that aspect of it. But
Roof is closed too today, JT. That was we got that while we were on the show, so that's also another thing. Humidor there too, so that does hurt them a little bit.
They never like to open the roof, honestly. I think both the people who run Minute Maid and the people who run Globe Life Field hate baseball, and they're very upset that there's actually a game going on in their stadium. They would prefer it to be empty and for nobody to be there. But yeah, I do like these prices. I think Jordan is way too cheap. I mean, Bailey Ober's had a couple of good games. One of his good games earlier this season against the Astros, that was a game in Minnesota. I think this is going to be a different outcome here. So do like Correa at 4-1. I do like Tucker at 3-7 in that spot, talking DraftKings pricing. And then Jordan, even Altuve at 5-1, compared to some of these other higher priced guys. I mean, I think the most comparable second baseman is you're going to find Semien at 5-0. So obviously like Altuve a bit in this spot as well. And I think that Zach Greinke's overpriced here. I just don't know if on this slate, the Twins have enough home run upside in this lineup for me to be interested in them tonight.
Yep, definitely agree. Don't love this park, but hey, I don't know. Big T was he wasn't on them completely yesterday, but he liked them a little bit. So check out Big T and his scores. Who knows? Maybe they'll be in there today. I don't think so, but you never know with Big T. And speaking of Big T, we can go on over to the San Francisco Giants and his boy Wilmer Flores, who it's his birthday today, and he's not in the lineup, sadly. And it's the Milwaukee Brewers. Hoop, I think this is just a stay away spot. I know Logan Webb, I think you talked him up a little bit, but not too much. It just seems like a game. We've liked a lot of offenses. I think we just catch up here and don't play anyone in this game.
I gotta unmute myself next time. Kind of the next two games are kind of in that category for me. The Giants, Brewers, like the pitchers here, Burns, Webb, and you just don't need to reach at offense today. There's just so many offenses in really good spots. Ownership will be spread out. I think playing either of these offenses would essentially be a reach. So I'm off this. And then the Royals, Cardinals, same thing. Interest in the pitchers, minor. Wainwright. I'm not going to be playing offenses in either of these games.
All right, JT, I'll go over to you. Are you playing any of the offenses for the Giants, the Brewers, the Cardinals, or the Royals, or should we just head over to Coors? I mean, you love the crack of Coors, love the crack of beer, so should we just head on over there and talk Coors instead?
I'm 100% aligned with Hoop here.
All right, then talk Coors to me. So you're a GPP guy. You don't play the cash as much, or not the cash, the chalk as much. I think that the Marlins and the Rockies will get some ownership. Coors has not been as chalky as normal. There's Alcantara, who I think you like a little bit more than others. There's Marquis, however you want to say it. He is here as well, right? So what are you doing with the Rockies and the Marlins bats in Coors Field?
Yeah, I'll have some Marquez. I probably will not have any Sandy Alcantara. Again, I think the leashes there in Miami are going to start to get quite a bit shorter with them being almost completely out of the race now. So no need to spend nearly $9K for a pitcher on the road in Coors. I think, as Hoop would say, that's a reach. And even though pitching has been volatile, I'm not going to do it on this slate. I don't think I'm going to go here for bats either. I mean, the Marlins bullpen is at least kind of league average. It's not as bad as we've seen in past years. They did trade some pieces away. But I don't know. I think this is going to be one of those slates where I'm going to have very little bat exposure to Coors Field, and I will have some exposure to Marquez. Like I said, I think we're going to see his leash come down a little bit too. Obviously, the Rockies not in any kind of race, but 8-4 against a lineup that has a ton of swing and miss in their first game in Coors. I think it's a pretty good opportunity for Marquez here to put up a decent game.
All right, Hoop, I'll go over to you. What are you doing with Coors Field? Are you playing it? Are you fading it? How are you handling it today?
Yeah, I mean, a weird situation. And I mean, for guys like you and I, Mangone, where, the last few years in cash games, if Coors is on the slate, you just kind of go there and you kind of auto stack, and that's been very profitable over the years. Things are kind of changing. Obviously, you have some decent pitchers on the Rockies staff. Marquez is obviously the best that they have. The Rockies offense is not all that good. I'll probably be off this game for the most part. I mean, you can make the case for Trevor Story, I think, as a one-off shortstop play. Ryan McMahon would probably be my favorite at 4.1K. But I don't think I'm going to come here and stack this game up. Definitely not the Marlins. And, I still, like I said, I just don't feel great about the Rockies either tonight. Going to be more, maybe one-off type plays for me.
All right, Hoop. I don't know if you know this, but Big T's cores are already up. Can you believe that? The Big T core plays, they are already up. What's your thoughts on that?
Big T must have something very important to do this evening. That is my that is my analysis of this situation. It's 5:36 p.m. Eastern time, and that's about an hour and probably 20 minutes.
You got to look at the core, though. You got to look at the core.
It is great. It is so good.
You got to look at the core. I love it.
Yeah.
I don't want to say
that might be a placeholder to screw with us until he changes it 45 seconds before lock.
Very possible, but hey, if you're not a member, just Big T's core alone is a reason to come check it out today. Today
it is. Most days it is, but today in particular, because it's going to make you smile. It's going to make you smile.
I had a feeling. He was going that route.
You know what else makes Hoop smile, JT? Hoop loves when Big T gets his finest pair of basketball shorts on and his polo and does something, right? Some type of event with the family. That could be what it is tonight, Hoop. Do we think there's a family event? Maybe it's his son's basketball banquet or something. I'm not sure what it could be, but the Big T core's up. It's definitely suspicious, Hoop.
If you're what's the word? Fashionista? Is that what you would consider somebody that's into fashion, right? If you're somebody that's big into fashion, and you saw Big T, not necessarily at a dress-up event, but at an event where people might typically wear something nicer. Let's say your kids graduate. Yeah. If your kid's graduating, preschool or kindergarten, what I would do is I'd put on a pair of khaki shorts, a polo shirt, maybe some nice boat shoes. That sort of event, Big T rolls into with gym shorts, DraftKings polo shirt, and then some tennis shoes. So that's Big T's go-to casual dress-up gear. Yeah. We got to find that. Man, you're good at digging things up. You got to find that family picture. Everyone in Big T's family is dressed nice. His daughters have a dress on. His son has a polo shirt and the khakis like I talked about. The wife has a nice dress on, and you got Big T in the DraftKings polo, gym shorts, and basketball shoes.
Yeah, there's no picture or thing on Twitter I can't find. I'm in the wrong business. I should be in the FBI or something. Maybe JT can get me a job. I can find anything you need, JT. But we can find that picture. Maybe if I can find a good one, I can get it to Simon in time to maybe close the show out. But that's it for Coors Field. We talked about that. The Big T core is up. So check that out. Use that code RPS NFL15 to get 15% off your monthly payment. Let's go on over and talk about the Oakland and Rangers game. Actually, I don't think we have to talk about it. No one's playing bats in this game. JT and Hoop, anything? All right, moving along. Let's talk Arizona. Let's talk
real quick. So I think you can play a small Oakland stack, and I think where I would go here is Olsen and maybe Starling Marte are two guys that I would look at. I think Fulte's just too cheap, but look, I'm not expecting Fulte to throw a no-hitter, so I think he's going to give up a couple of runs, and I would be fine with that. I will have that myself.
All right. Well, JT, you did the tout thing where you touted Fulte, and then you just went with the hedge stack on the way back. Very hurtful.
It's not a hedge stack. It's not. I expect him to give up runs. It's his price. It's his price that you have to play.
I get it, but we have to bust your balls. It is the tout thing, right, Hoop? We've been in this long enough. He definitely just did the tout thing, right, Hoop?
Yeah, well, you can make the case that it's cheap pitcher, and you're not expecting him to come out and go 7 innings, 9 strikeouts, and pick up the win. So you got some wiggle room. So I think that's the point that and plus, you got the bullpen behind him in the Rangers.
Thank you, Hoop.
I don't disagree. If you're playing 150, I get it, but I need Big T here just to get on JT. That's what we really need. Because that is what, again, you did the top thing. It's okay. You are right, but I'm also right too. I mean, I think we're both right in this sense, but let's talk about the Padres a little bit because Caleb Smith's not that good, right? Caleb Smith is a guy that I think I would attack with all these Padres righties. I don't think it's a bad spot. And there's some good bats on this slate. Am I crazy to consider the Padres, JT? I don't think they make my one lineup on each site, but I think there's someone that I'm at least going to look at.
No. In fact, they almost became the second offense on the Bang Bang Play video, but that's a free video. Well, this is a free show too, right? So I guess I'm giving it away anyway. But yeah, I do like them here. You've got Caleb Smith, and then you've got the Arizona bullpen, which has been one of the worst in the league. It's not my favorite only because, look, it's going to be cool. It's going to be one of those night games in San Diego, 60-ish degrees out there. But there's no question that this team, beginning with Manny Machado, has a ton of power and can put some runs on the board against this Arizona team. So they'll definitely be in my player pool.
All right. Hoop, how about you? We talked about a lot of offenses. You got to make cuts. Do the Padres make the cut for you?
Yeah, I'll have some exposure to the Padres. I'll be pretty specific with it. And I mean, like Pham, Machado, Will Myers. If Marisnick finds a lineup, he's a cheap bat that has upside. Again, you just don't need to be all that worried about ownership, so you can play your favorite guys in these lineups. So yeah, I'm going to be on the Padres, and obviously no Diamondbacks.
All right, let's move it on over. Let's go over. I think we got one more game left. Let me see. I'm scrolling. Yeah, we got one more game left. It's the Angels and the Dodgers. So, and it's K. Falik wanting us to talk about David Price and everything there. He did like the Dodgers the other night, and they absolutely mashed, right? Maybe K. Falik is on them again. I'm not sure. I have to check out if he's got any cores today for you guys. JT, will the Dodgers be making any of your cores today?
Yeah, before I get there, I have to address a couple of things in chat. Of course, as always, chat, love to see the chat getting into it and chatting along with us at these places. A couple of guys have asked, hey, just today, can you give us the Big T core? Can you share with us the Big T core? And I don't know if they don't know this or they're playing coy to see if we'll give it to them and give it away. That is the most valuable thing here in the Run Pure Sports subscription is getting his core recently, in case you haven't noticed. So no, we are absolutely not going to share his core with you for free. Pull the credit card out, enter code RPSNFL15, get a 15% break for life, which is incredible. No other site does that. What other site does that? So stop being cheap. Get in. Join the movement.
And also we got UFC this weekend. We got NASCAR. The playbook's already up for the trucks. We got it all. So you're not just getting Big T's core plays for one price. You're not getting Big T's package for one price. You're getting everything over here at Run Pure Sports. So again, sign up now.
And then the second piece is Millie desperately wants us to talk about Cal Quantrill. Millie, I appreciate your viewership, even when you're being sarcastic and attacking us. And so I'm going to talk about Cal Quantrill for you. I looked into him. I don't like the leash. I don't like the fact that the Tigers have one of the highest ISOs against right-handed pitchers on the slate. And also, let's be honest, the Tigers are actually trying to win. The Tigers are actually trying to get in the playoffs, whereas I'm not real sure what the hell the Indians are doing. On to the Dodgers. The Dodgers will be in my player pool. I know that Sandoval has been pretty good. I don't think I'm going to be playing Sandoval on this slate. The bullpen after Sandoval is not very good. And I think that the Dodgers, although they're expensive as well. I mean, you look at these guys all up in the mid fives for the most part. Chris Taylor, I have interest in. Muncy, I think, is 5.7. So I think the only guys who you're going to pay down for are guys like Bellinger, who really hasn't been hitting all that well of late. And I don't have a ton of interest in him on a 14-game slate. Conversely, I really don't have interest in David Price. I think, yes, he's a cheaper pitcher you can consider. I don't have a ton of interest in the Angels bats, but just because of the way that Price has been giving up hard contact and the way the bullpen has been melting down, Kenley Jansen barely got through the ninth inning, either last game or the game before. So I may look at a two-man for the Angels, but I don't think it's necessary on this slate.
All right, Hoop, how about you? Any interest in the Los Angeles teams on this slate? And then address the likes. How are we doing, Hoop? I mean, 475, 250. I think we've done a pretty good job on a Friday.
Yeah, we're golden on the likes. I mean, the chat got there. I mean, we only had to reference in, once, and they got the job done. And that's a good way to go into the weekend with the proper number of likes. Yeah, I mean, I like the Dodgers. I mean, I hope to see their lineup before, just because they're kind of a tougher team to stack against lefties. You got Pujols who likely be in there. I don't like playing Albert Pujols. I prefer this lineup against righties, but obviously Betts, strong play. Justin Turner, strong play. AJ Pollock, strong play. So a lot of different ways you can go. It's still, a late game here. Ownership should not be a factor. So yeah, give me some Dodgers here for sure. And yeah, I won't be playing the Angels.
By the way, you love to see Holden giving out the Big T core in the chat. It's not really the core, but it's pretty funny. It's a good laugh. So he's got Coors in there. He's got Stanton, Judge. He's got Folty, Fetty. I mean, he's got everything. He's just totally messing around. So love to see the good times in the YouTube chat. JT, let's go and talk about our stacks. So give me the stacks. Who are your top ones on this slate?
Yeah, I'm going to be on more heavily than others the Yankees, the Braves, the Phillies, the Padres. I do like the Indians, even still, though the lineup isn't that great. Probably limit that from 5 to 3 maybe. And then I will have some Red Sox. I just call it a feeling, call it what you will, call it wanting to take a shot on a team with a lot of power. And in these 14-game slates, you need home runs. Keep that in mind. You got to have those home runs, those big scores in your lineups. I think that the Red Sox can do that tonight. So interested in them and the Reds as well.
All right, mine are Yankees. I like the Reds and the Braves. They're in play, but I don't know. They might not make the final list for me, but I do like these Phillies. They're a team again. I'm looking for home runs, and I like that park. I'm still trying to figure out exactly what to do with it there. And then, I think that's the 4 right now. I'm kind of looking at if the Indians were lower owned, I'd go to them. That's something I'm going to kind of consider when I get off the show. Hoop, I'll go to you. Give me your stacks.
Yeah, I mean, Reds are probably my favorite. I do like the Braves quite a bit as well. And then, one that I think will be super low owned, the Phillies. I mean, I just keep playing the Phillies, and more times than not, it's worked out. I mean, I like the pieces. I think this matchup's fine. So Phillies kind of under the radar for me.
All right. Brian has a question for you, JT. If you're a single entry, what is your favorite stack? Be a man of the people and let him know. Or tell him to go watch your Bang Bang plays. How about that?
Yeah. I mean, it's pretty clear on the Bang Bang plays who the top stack was, and it's going to be even clearer here in a few minutes. But for you, because you're always bringing good mojo, helping other members out, it's definitely the Yankees if I'm playing single entry.
All right, let's get to the Forex play with Hoop. Give me your play of the day. Who is the guy that's going yard? Are you going to the Phillies? You going to the Yankees? You going to Coors? Where are you going to?
I'm not going to any of those spots. I'm going to JT's hometown. I'm going to Atlanta. I'm going to my boy Jock Peterson as the Forex play of the day. Big Jock Jams is going to get us a home run tonight. So give me Jock Peterson for the Forex play of the day.
All right, Jock gets the job done for Hoop. I got made fun of the other day for the Bichette call when he was going to be low owned, but I got another guy for you that, I mean, I'm sure he's been low owned the past couple of days. He's part of one of the most popular stacks, but I think he's really going to hit one out. I think he might even hit 2 out. He's been seeing the ball pretty well, in my opinion. Been watching him. I'm going with Rougned Odor today as someone that bangs it out. Going to be low owned, lefty, at least low owned within the stack. So I think Odor has power and pop to get the job done. I'm not calling just 1 home run. I'm calling 2, JT. So Odor hits 2 out. JT Hayes. Now we're going to hop on the plane. We're going to hit Air France and get the Eiffel Tower play of the day.
That's right. Brought to you by Air France. France is in the air, in case you didn't know, or if you're reading the chat in Big T's shower session this afternoon, we're according to one of the readers, he spiced things up a little bit, put on a Freddie Galvis mask. So, it gets a little wild in the knee house home sometimes. But, I mean, first of all, I love Hoop's call. I love the call because Jock Peterson, I erroneously said earlier he would be leading off. He's not. I love him even more in the 7th spot because that gives Feedy an opportunity to walk some people, maybe hit a batter, a couple of steals, and then boom, he hits one into the chop house, which coincidentally is right next to where my seats are. But I'm not going to go to that game I'm going to go back to a guy that I talked about earlier. I don't think there's any chance that Kyle Higashioka doesn't hit at least one home run tonight. In fact, it could be two. And if you add in Odor's 2 and the homers that Judge and Stanton are all going to hit, maybe the Yankees hit 10 home runs tonight. Who knows? I think they really are going to do a number on Marco Gonzalez.
You love to see it. Yankees stack with our guys at the bottom. You got Hoops one off with Jock Peterson. Take it down tonight, right? Coming up next, you got JSU, you got Holden, you got Draft Cheat. They will be bringing you the winners on the premium show. Who knows? Maybe Big T will show up all dressed up for some event that he's going to tonight. Not too sure, but that'll wrap it up for us, guys. Thanks a lot for joining us. Use that code RPSNFL15 to get 15% off to check out that premium show. For me, Mangone, Hoop, and JT. See you guys later.